Yamuna Tira Banachari Yamuna Tira Banachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Shrimad Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai ISKCON BBD Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai Go Premanandi Hari Hari Bo. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Sri Sri Guru and Gauranga, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Okay, so we're reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd Canto, Chapter 21, and we're up to text 40. Punya Druma Lata Jalai. What's the tune? Punya Druma Lata Jalai Kujat Punya Mriga Dvijaha Kujat Punya Mriga Dvijai Sarvatu Pala Pushpadyam Sarvatu Pala Pushpadyam Vani Raji Shriyanvitam Vani Raji Shriyanvitam Punya Druma Lata Jalai Kujat Punya Mrigad Vijay Sarvatu Pala Pushpadyam Vanaraji Shriyanvitam. Vaishnavis. Punya, pious. Juma, of trees. Lata, of creepers. Jalai, with clusters. Kujat, uttering cries. Punya, pious. Mriga, animals. Dvijai, with birds. Sarva, in all. Ritu, seasons. Pala, in fruits. Pushpa, in flowers. Adyam, rich. Vanaraji, of groves of trees. Shriya, by the beauty. Anvitam, adorned. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. The shore of the lake was surrounded by clusters of pious trees and creepers, rich in fruits and flowers of all seasons. That afforded shelter to pious animals and birds, which uttered various cries. It was adorned by the beauty of groves of forest trees. Purport. It is stated here that Bindu Sarovar was surrounded by pious trees and birds. As there are different classes of men in human society, some pious and some virtuous, and some impious and sinful, so also among trees and birds there are the pious and the impious. Trees which do not bear nice fruit or flowers are considered impious, and birds which are very nasty, such as crows, are considered impious. In the land surrounding Bindu Sarovara, there was not a single impious bird or tree. Every tree bore fruits and flowers, and every bird sang the glories of the Lord. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So I'm going to read forward a little bit further, actually, until I get to a translation of purport that I kind of felt inspired to say something about. So, with your permission. Matta Dvija Ganagushtam, Matta Brahmara Vibramam, Matta Bardhi Nata Topam, Avayam Matta Kokilam. Translation. The area resounded with notes of overjoyed birds. Intoxicated bees wandered there. Intoxicated peacocks proudly danced, and merry cuckoos called one another. Purport. The beauty of the pleasant sounds heard in the area surrounding Lake Bindu Sarovar is described here. After drinking honey, the black bees became maddened, and they hummed in intoxication. Merry peacocks danced just like actors and actresses, and merry cuckoos called their mates very nicely. Actually, I'll just read the translation. Next, 42-43 is Lake Bindu Sarovar was adorned by flowering trees such as Kadamba, Kampaka, Ashoka, Karanja, Bakula, Asana, Kunda, Mandara, Kutaja, and young mango trees. The air was filled with the pleasing notes of Karandava ducks, plavas, swans, ospreys, waterfowl, cranes, chakravakas, and chakoras. Purport. For most of the trees, flowers, fruits, and birds mentioned here as surrounding Bindu Sarovar Lake, English synonyms cannot be found. All the trees mentioned are very pious in that they produce a nice aromatic flower, such as the champaka, kadamba, and bakula. The sweet sounds of the waterfowl and cranes made the surrounding area as pleasant as possible and created a very suitable spiritual atmosphere. Text 44. Its shores abounded with deer, boars, porcupines, gavayas, elephants, baboons, lions, monkeys, mongooses, and musk deer. Purport. Musk deer are not found in every forest, but only in places like Bindu Sarovara. They are always intoxicated by the aroma of musk secreted from their navels. Gavayas, the species of cow mentioned herein, bear a bunch of hair at the end of their tails. This bunch of hair is used in temple worship to fan the deities. Gavayas are sometimes called chamaris, and they are considered very sacred. In India, there are still gypsies or forest mercantile people who flourish by trading kasturi or musk and the bunches of hair from the chamaris. These are always in great demand for the high classes of Hindu population, and such business still goes on in large cities and villages in India. Text 45 through 47, and this is where we will stop. Translation. Entering the most sacred spot with his daughter and going near the sage, the first monarch, Swayambhuva Manu, saw the sage sitting in his hermitage. Having just propitiated the sacred fire by pouring oblations into it. Propitiated means satisfied. Mr. Dictionary, please. Propitiated. Propitiated, that means satisfied, right? Having just propitiated the sacred fire by pouring oblations into it. That word is basically satisfied. When you propitiate somebody, you satisfy them. I'm asking you. When you propitiate somebody, yeah. Okay, thank you. His body shone most brilliantly, though he had engaged in austere penances for a long time. Sorry, read that wrong. His body shone most brilliantly, though he had engaged in austere penance for a long time, he was not emaciated. For the Lord had cast his affectionate sidelong glance upon him, and he had also heard the nectar flowing from the moon-like words of the Lord. The sage was tall, his eyes were large, like the petals of a lotus, and he had matted locks on his head. He was clad in rags. Swayambhuva Manu approached and saw him to be somewhat soiled, like an unpolished gem. Here are some descriptions of a brahmachari yogi. In the morning, the first duty of a brahmachari seeking spiritual elevation is hutasana, to offer sacrificial oblations to the Supreme Lord. Those engaged in brahmacharya cannot sleep until 7 or 9 o'clock in the morning. They must rise early in the morning, at least 1.5 hours before the sun rises, and offer oblations, or, in this age, they must chant the holy name of the Lord, Hare Krishna. As referred to by Lord Chaitanya, Kalo nastyeva 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 gatiranyata. There is no other alternative in this age to chanting the holy name of the Lord. The brahmachari must rise early in the morning, and after placing himself, he should chant the holy name of the Lord. From the very features of the sage, it appeared that he had undergone great austerities. That is the sign of one observing brahmacharya, the vow of celibacy. If one lives otherwise, it will be manifest in the lust visible in his face and body. The word Vidyotamahan, probably pronounced that, Vidyotamanam, indicates that the brahmachari feature showed in his body. That is the certificate of one. That is the certificate that one has undergone great austerity in yoga. A drunkard or smoker or sex-monger can never be eligible to practice yoga. Generally, yogis look very skinny because of their not being comfortably situated. But Kardama Muni was not emaciated, for he had seen the Supreme Personality of Godhead face to face. Here the word snigdha panga balokanat means that he was fortunate enough to see the Supreme Lord face to face. He looked healthy. He looked healthy because he had directly received the nectarian sound vibrations from the lotus lips of the Personality of Godhead. Similarly, one who hears the transcendental vibration of the holy name of the Lord, one who hears the transcendental sound vibration of the holy name of the Lord, Hare Krishna, also improves in health. We have actually seen that many brahmacharis and grihastas connected with the International Society for Krishna Consciousness have improved in health, and a luster has come to their faces. It is essential that a brahmachari engaged in spiritual advancement look very healthy and lustrous. The comparison of the sage to an unpolished gem is very appropriate. Even if a gem just taken from a mine looks unpolished, the luster of the gem cannot be stopped. Similarly, although Kardama was not properly dressed and his body was not properly cleansed, his overall appearance was gem-like. Om Gana Tanadanda Shah Jananjana Shalakaya Chakshuran Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Mano Bishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Garamayam Dadati Swapadamtikam. So, back in the train. Well, first of all, we're hearing about a very successful person, Kardama Muni. He's in a very elite group of people. And that the particular specific qualification of this group is that they've seen the personality of Godhead face to face. There's not too many others. We'll try to name them. Lord Brahma, right? Krishna appeared before Lord Brahma. Narada Muni. What else we got here? Dhruva Maharaj, you could say Prahlad Maharaj, he appeared simultaneously before a lot of other people as well, but at least because of Prahlad Maharaj. Daksha, the Prachetas, can you think of any others? Arjuna. But what? Yeah. Well, yeah, that's a little different because Krishna was like living with him the whole thing. But these are devotees who underwent austerities. That's okay. And, Lord Vishnu appeared before them. So Kardama Muni is part of that group. Sorry? Oh. He's it's a very exclusive club there, so to speak. So he was a very successful person. And he actually not only got to see the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but the Supreme Lord spoke to him. He actually spoke to him, and he congratulated him. I'm going to read a few translations here. It's not many of actually what Lord Vishnu said to Kardama Muni when he appeared before him. He said, "Having come to know what is in your mind, I have already arranged for that which you have worshipped me well through your mental and sensory discipline." See, in other words, initially, as we know from the background story, Kardama Muni, he wasn't really, out there for self-realization. He was given an instruction by his father that he had to assist in populating the universe, and he was performing penances and austerities, as mentioned here, to get the blessings of Lord Vishnu in order to be able to do that properly. So this is, why Lord Vishnu is referring, saying like that to him. So he continues, "My dear Rishi, O leader of the living entities, for those who serve me in devotion by worshiping me, especially persons like you who have given up everything unto me, there is never any question of frustration. The Emperor Swayambhuva Manu, the son of Lord Brahma, who is well known for his righteous acts, has his seat in Brahmavarta and rules over the earth with its 7 oceans. The day after tomorrow, O Brahmana, the celebrated emperor, who is expert in religious activities, will come here with his queen, Satarupa, wishing to see you. He has a grown-up daughter whose eyes are black. She is ready for marriage, and she has good character and all good qualities. She is also searching for a good husband. My dear sir, her parents will come to see you, who are exactly suitable for her, just to deliver their daughter as your wife. That princess, O holy sage, will be just the type you have been thinking of in your heart for all these long years. She will soon be yours and will serve you to your heart's content. She will bring forth 9 daughters from the seed sown in her by you, and through the daughters you beget, the sages will duly beget children. With your heart cleansed by properly carrying out my command, resigning to me the fruits of all your acts, you will finally attain to me." So he's not only is he seeing the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but the Supreme Personality of Godhead is telling him, okay, you're going to be successful. Don't worry. You will finally attain to me. Goes on, showing compassion to all living entities, you will attain self-realization. Giving assurance and safety to all, you will perceive your own self as well as all the universes in me and myself in you. O great sage, I shall manifest my own plenary portion through your wife, Devahuti, along with your 9 daughters, and I shall instruct her in the system of philosophy that deals with the ultimate principles or categories. So not only did he get to see Lord Vishnu face to face, not only was he told that by Lord Vishnu that he was going to attain him, ultimately he was going to be successful, but Lord Vishnu is even informing him that he's going to appear as his son, which is pretty amazing. So Kardama Muni is a pretty special personality. And here we're hearing a description of how he appeared to Swayambhuva Manu when he appeared there with his wife to bring his daughter to offer to him in charity. So the thing that struck me was Prabhupada, in the translation, I guess it's who's speaking here? Lord Vishnu Maitreya Muni is speaking here, actually. He's our narrator at this point. So he was saying that Kardama Muni, he wasn't emaciated. I'm looking for that word. He was performing austerities for a long time, but here it is. The sage, although he had engaged in austere penance for a long time, he was not emaciated, for the Lord had cast his affectionate sidelong glance upon him, and he had also heard the nectar flowing from the moon-like words of the Lord. And in the purport, Prabhupada picks up on that, and he says, he points out that he was fortunate enough to see the Supreme Lord face to face. He looked healthy because he had directly received the nectarian sound vibrations from the lotus lips of the personality of Godhead. And I found this really interesting. Similarly, one who hears the transcendental sound vibration of the holy name of the Lord, Hare Krishna, also improves in health. We have actually seen that many brahmacharis and grihastas connected with the International Society for Krishna Consciousness have improved in health, and a luster has come to their faces. So, Prabhupada goes on, it is essential that a brahmachari engaged in spiritual advancement look very healthy and lustrous. So, Prabhupada was complimented on different occasions. When he was traveling, once I think it was a Catholic priest, and approached him and said, "How is it that your disciples look so bright-faced?" Okay? So, in other words, it's not just Prabhupada saying it. Other people observed it. Actually, there was once Prabhupada was once going through the airport, and there was a man who was working at the airport. You know, this was like it was either Prabhupada departing or arriving, and all the devotees were there, and they were chanting. And the man was like taken aback. He was looking at Prabhupada, and he goes, "Oh my God, that man is shining." So he could see the bright face and effulgence emanating from Prabhupada. He was struck by that. So the point is that devotees perform austerities, and they perform tapasya. They voluntarily accept inconvenience to the mind and the body, but the result is not that they just get emaciated, as mentioned both in the translation and the purport, and that's that. No, they become rejuvenated. In other words, Krishna reciprocates, and I've seen this. I've observed it. To be honest with you, I feel like I've experienced it. And I've observed it just in my participation in the Krishna conscious movement. Prabhupada says the members of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, how do you put it? Similarly, one who hears the transcendental holy name of the Lord and the Hare Krishna and Hare Krishna improves in health. Yeah. When you participate in Lord Chaitanya's Sankirtan movement, the chanting of Hare Krishna, performing Sankirtan, as you perform austerity, you perform tapasya. It's difficult. You're inconvenienced. You're uncomfortable. At that present moment, it seems like, wow, is this really a good thing to do? But it's because you're doing it to please Krishna. Krishna reciprocates. How many have had that experience of like going out on Harinam or going out on you're doing your service basically, and you're really kind of like pushing yourself. You're pushing yourself mentally. You're pushing yourself physically. But you do it because that's the service, and you're doing it to please your spiritual master and like that. And then afterwards, like the next day, after you have a chance to recover, you feel fully rejuvenated. It's like you perform that, or on a fast day, for instance. Even that's another example. You feel really like it's intense. That on that particular, when you're actually doing it, when you're undergoing the austerity, the tapasya, it's difficult. It's difficult, as I said, on the mind and the body. But after when you do it, afterwards, and you have a chance to kind of recover, and then you feel like not only do you feel as good as you did before performing the austerity, but a lot better. Have you had that experience? I have that experience a lot. You go out on Sankirtan, and like say it's, for instance, cold. So the whole day you're tolerating standing out there, being in the cold, and it's maybe raining at the same time, and you're kind of like struggling to just stay dry and stay warm, and at the same time, to get people to stop. And so it's hard. And it's like all day long, it's kind of like uncomfortable, both mentally, physically, 5 hours, at least out there, and then they're driving there and driving back, and that's also not comfortable. And you're feeling, what am I doing this for? I'm just becoming miserable by doing this. How is this? At the time, it's miserable. At the time you're doing it, it might be, be experienced as this is miserable. It's misery, but it's a relationship You see, you're doing that to please your spiritual master, you're doing that to please Krishna, and they're aware of that, and then after you perform the austerity, the reward is there, the reciprocation is there. You know, you get back, you take a shower, get clean, and you rest up, and then the next morning you come to Mangalarti and you're before the deities, and you feel like, whoa, wow, this is great, and you feel really blissful, enlivened, joyful. You know, you experience a taste for chanting, and you realize, wow, it's all worth it. You know, Krishna reciprocates. So it's kind of like that. Kardama Muni was performing all these austerities. He was emaciated, but then eventually when he's satisfied, Lord Vishnu was satisfied by his penance, austerities, etc. How is it described? Anyway, the words are there. But so then it all came back to him plus. You know, he was restored back to his, condition before he was performing all these tapasas, and more. You know, in addition to just being healthy again, he had the spiritual realization and like that. So we're not the loser. You know, the lesson to learn from this is we're not the loser by performing tapasya, by performing penances and austerities for the pleasure of the spiritual master and the Supreme Lord. It might be difficult at the time we're doing it. Not might be, it is. It's difficult at the time we're doing it, and that's why it's called tapasya, voluntarily accepting penance and austerities for the pleasure of the Lord. But the reward will be there. The reward's there. And so many devotees, hopefully everybody in this room has experienced that. Now here's a question though. How is it that even after experiencing that, performing penances and austerities and experiencing how Krishna reciprocates, he rewards, you feel purified, you feel healthier, you feel happier, you feel, joyful, blissful, even maybe have a taste for chanting. How is it that there's a lot of devotees who have gone through that, experienced that, and they go away? How's that possible? I mean, when I was preparing the class, I was thinking of like different devotees I traveled with when I was on Radha Damodar, and I know what they were going through because I went through it. We were there all doing it together. You're kind of like not sleeping even 6 hours. You're getting up. It's cold, and you're taking a cold bath. There's no choice. There was no heater, no heating up water. Then next thing you know, you're driving again down the highway to get to the next event, and you're chanting, and then as soon as you get there, it's like maybe have a piece of fruit and some yogurt, and out you go, working 10 hours, approaching people. So these devotees did that, and I'm sure they reaped the benefit of that, and then still devotees go away. Well, Maya is very strong. Maya is very strong. And we always have to remember that. It's like Prabhupada, one of the first Bhagavatam classes I heard, a devotee who gave the example. It's just like jumping, if you jump in the Ganges River, if you don't make a decision to swim upstream, you're going to go downstream because there's a current. You see, it's not like a lake. You jump in a lake, you stay in the same place. You can just stay there, tread water, whatever, you're okay. But if you jump in a river that has a current, you have to swim against the current if you don't want to be pushed downstream. That's what it's like trying to be a devotee in the Kali Yuga. There's a current, and it's pushing against us, and we have to be aware of that. That's what's meant by Kali Yuga. So we have to be prepared. We have to have it in our mind. We have to be, prepared. We have to make a continuous, sustained effort. That's the word I was looking for. Sustained effort to be engaged in devotional service. Otherwise, as soon as we relax, just like think of that analogy, you're in the Ganges and you're swimming, you got the current coming against you and you're swimming, and you think, okay, that's pretty good. I've been doing this for 5-10 minutes and I'll relax now. But you won't stay in the same place. As soon as you make that choice, I'll relax now, then downstream you go, because that's just the nature of the thing. So it's the same thing. Here we are trying to engage in devotional service. There's so many devotees. They've sincerely engaged in devotional service, and they made progress. They made advancement, definitely. But they relaxed in some sense. They let their guard down. You let your guard down, and downstream you go. all is not lost. In the class I gave last night, I quoted that verse by Narada Muni from the first canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam 1.5.19. Talks, where he gives the instruction about if one engages in devotional service and falls down, what's the loss? Whereas if one engages in material activities and is successful, what's the gain? Like that. So whatever advancement they made, that's their permanent, asset. They haven't lost that. But still, it's a shame. So the point is, once again, the lesson to be learned is that we have to be on our guard. We have to have a program to stay in devotional service for the long run. In the 8th canto, there's a purport where Prabhupada wrote this purport specifically after one of his very close disciples, who was a sannyasi. He gave up the sannyas ashram. And Prabhupada was kind of still concerned about him because he was a very good devotee, and did a lot of nice service. So the essence of that purport was Prabhupada said in the purport that, sannyas might not be suitable for everybody. So you go to the ashram where you feel comfortable, but the bottom line was don't give up the fight and go away. That was the point. That was the message. That was literally the bottom line. It was the last sentence in that purport. So it was literally the bottom line. Don't give up the fight and go away. And in that purport, he said that everybody has to put themselves in a normal condition, and what's a normal condition for one person won't be a normal condition for another person. You got to use your God-given intelligence, and maybe with the help of, consulting other senior devotees, but you got to figure out a way that you can do what you got to do, that you're able to, as Prabhupada says here, rise early in the morning, to attend the programs and follow the regulative principles, and you got to just, pray to Krishna, figure out a way that you can organize your life so that you'll be able to do this for the rest of your life. That's what we got to do. We have to figure out a way, pray, talk to advanced senior devotees, whatever. Read Prabhupada's books, but figure out a way that you could do this, for the rest of your life. That's important, because that's what the human life is for. Last night I was giving class. Most of you weren't here, so I'll tell this little story again. About 10 years ago, I was shopping for a van for the temple, and I was going to different car dealerships and like that. So I remember this one salesman said something to me that was, that really stuck in my mind. He said, "Mr. Solomon, what do I have to do to earn your business?" And just for some reason, nobody ever said that to me. So, I realized when I thought about it, I said, yeah, he's right. He has to earn my business. I'm definitely out there to buy a van, no doubt about it, but I'm not just going to buy any van. I want to get something good. I want to get really a lot of value for money, so to speak. So he understood that, and he was thinking, what do I have to do to earn this guy's business? And he actually out and out asked me, what do I have to do to earn your business? So the reason I mention is we're in the same position. We have to be thinking, what do I have to do to earn the approval of the spiritual master? What do I have to do to earn the approval of the Supreme Personality of Godhead? That's what it's all about. That's my understanding. That was the realization I had yesterday. That it's all about earning the approval of the spiritual master and the Supreme Personality of Godhead. When we're chanting Hare Krishna, we're actually like praying that. Oh my Lord, please engage me in your service. In other words, oh my Lord, please give me the intelligence to see, to understand how I have to live my life so that I gain your approval, right? That's the idea. So that's the mission. That's the overarching principle, of a devotee's life. Ultimately, we have to try to gain the approval of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We do that by pleasing or gaining the approval of the spiritual master. And when we do that, like it's described in this verse, then there's reciprocation. That's in that verse we chant every morning. When the spiritual master is pleased, then Krishna is pleased. See? So when we conduct our life in such a way, that we, by performing our devotional activities, our chanting, how we associate with the devotees, the effort we make to try to bring other people to Krishna consciousness, all these different things combined. There's many different aspects to it. But the overarching, once again, principle is I'm trying to gain the approval of my spiritual master. And we do that when we gain the approval of the spiritual master, then as explained in the 10th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Dadami buddhi yogam tam yena mam upayantite. I give them the intelligence by which they can come to me. And he goes on to say that I, who am dwelling within their heart, destroy with the shining lamp of knowledge the darkness born of ignorance. In other words, Krishna, from within our heart, he will enlighten us, and we will understand. At that time, when we gain the approval of our spiritual master, then it will be revealed to us, what's going on. That we really are not this body, spirit, soul, we're eternal servant of Krishna. One thing after another, everything will be revealed to us. But that's the key. You need a key to open up a door, right? So that's the key to open up the door to self-realization. Having that desire, understanding initially with your intelligence, and then, cultivating that mentality. How can I gain the approval of my spiritual master? What kind of person do I have to be? What kind of devotee do I have to be? How should I chant? How should I associate with other devotees? How should I perform my service? How should I, organize my life? That's the whole thing. Because if we do that, if you just achieve that, you've achieved everything. There's nothing further to be achieved than that. Then our life is a success. So that's pretty much what I wanted to say. So I'll stop there. Does anybody have any question? Rabindranath Prabhu.
Yeah, you mentioned how the Krishna and the spiritual master knows what austerities we're performing. So we know that Krishna is in our heart, and he knows everything like that. But how does the spiritual master understand that what we're doing?
Yeah, I was thinking about that this morning when I was, kind of preparing the class. And our understanding is that it's not like Prabhupada's dead and gone. Prabhupada's existing. He's an eternal personality. He's not in that perhaps body that we knew him in. So is Prabhupada, I was asking myself the question, is Prabhupada directly aware of everything all his disciples are doing at every moment? Is that the case? Or is it that Prabhupada's in the, Goloka Vrindavan or wherever, someplace in his spiritual body, and Krishna is kind of mediating? And, because, Krishna's the super soul is certainly aware. That's our philosophy. That we can be sure of. So Krishna's aware of everything that devotees are doing, thinking, etc. So is Krishna like mediating and communicating to Prabhupada, well, this disciple is doing like this, or this disciple, is that the thing? Or is it that Prabhupada's kind of like there, but Krishna's just doing it on his own? Because it's also said the spiritual master is one. You see, so in other words, even though Prabhupada's not in the picture so directly, that Krishna's reporting to him, and then Prabhupada's responding, and then it's being, transmitted back. Maybe Krishna's just acting on behalf of Prabhupada. But the honest response to your question is, I don't know the answer. I don't know the answer to that question. It's a technical thing. I don't technically know how it works. Whether when we're doing things, Prabhupada is directly aware of what we're doing. Prabhupada, the person we knew, who is here with us as our spiritual master, is directly conscious of everything, every thought that we do? Or is that he's being informed by the super soul or by Krishna, or that Krishna's just, so if somebody is in a better position to, yeah, please, go ahead.
No, I'm certainly not in a better position. I would just like to give Hare Krishna Prabhu. I would like to give a brief comment and then ask a question, if that's okay. Now, in regards to this question that Prabhu asked, it has occurred to me that Bhaktivinoda Thakur, in his writings, and it's right there in the Bhaktivinoda Vaibhava, it's said, Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that if the devotee prays to some particular acharya who passed away from material world, it's not that acharya is not aware of his prayers. Bhaktivinoda Thakur explains that by the energy of Balaram, which facilitates this exchange and transmission of message, the acharya in spiritual world is being directly notified and assists, I quote Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he says, and he assists the acharya in spiritual world assists the aspiring spirit. Very nice, isn't it? So in other words, Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that yes, those acharyas are directly aware by the medium of the energy of Balaram, of us, our services, of our efforts, of our struggles and our prayers. And when we meditate on some particular acharya, he becomes notified and he assists the aspiring spirit in material world. Isn't that wonderful?
Yeah, so that's kind of like number 2, because I was saying, is it a direct communication? Is it a direct communication through some energy of Krishna, super soul, whatever? Or is it just that Krishna does the whole thing? So that sounds like number 2, whereas the devotee's praying and the super soul is aware of that, and then, it kind of somehow or another gets communicated to the acharya in the spiritual world, and then once again, via that medium there, it comes back down. Did I understand it correctly?
Yes, okay. That's what he said. And it is the Balaram that enables that exchange.
Balaram enables that exchange.
Enables that exchange.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay. Did you have a question as well, or that was your?
Well, I just wanted to ask, like, you emphasize this aspect of austerities, absorbing miseries in order to please the spiritual master and Krishna, but like, and I appreciate that, but some devotees may be a little bit intimidated by that.
Maybe what? Sorry?
May be intimidated by that aspect of, like, can you cover the other aspect that pleasing spiritual master and advancing in spiritual life can be also a pleasant experience? And
yeah, it can be pleasant, especially when you get to make more advancement. The same things that you were doing that were previously maybe miserable become blissful. That's there. But we have to be prepared to accept a little bit of inconvenience to body and mind in order to sometimes follow the instruction of the spiritual master. But it's not like it's definitely always going to be miserable. No, you can by practice learn how to do things so it's not so miserable, and then ultimately you can transcend the whole situation altogether. So there's other options there. It's not like you're signing on for a life of suffering when you become a devotee. Amala Bhakti Maharaj.
First of all, I'd like to mention thank you for your class. In regard to the two words, spiritual master, they're not all the same. They're not all on the same level. There are some who are so high, and this is indicated throughout the different pastimes and all the different philosophical points that are made. We use the word interchangeably, but they're really not. There's a spiritual master who can look at your face and know exactly where you are spiritually. He knows what you're thinking. He knows what you're feeling. He knows all these things. Prabhupada was such a person. He would sometimes look at me and start talking about what my problem was when I didn't even express the problem. So there are spiritual masters who are very advanced. There are some who are not so advanced, and they know very little, but they still are pure. And they're moving on in that purity to higher and higher levels, which higher and higher powers come to you as you grow, as you go, as you get higher realizations of Krishna. As Krishna gives you his affection, he gives you his love, he gives you his good feelings, and he gives you your knowledge that you didn't have before. All that is comes as a result of this business, that we should not think that all spiritual masters are on the same level, because the word spiritual master is being given. Some spiritual masters are actually very honest. They say, look, I'm not on that level that Narada Muni is on. I'm not like him. I'm way down. So therefore don't expect from me the same as Narada Muni just because I'm called a spiritual master and I'm pure. I'm pure, but I haven't reached higher and higher and higher levels. So we must think that, not that everything is the same. And if somebody doesn't have those powers, we should not look down upon him at all. He's on the way, and he's moving on up. And those who are on that level, they themselves should take the position that they're really nothing outside of what Krishna gives them. So when you give the credit to Krishna, then you're outside of the fold of being proud, being arrogant, being condescending, looking down at others. That's gone once you realize that Krishna is in charge and he's giving either directly to you or through the spiritual master, which is another point. Sometimes you, even if a spiritual master is not very advanced, still the Lord can give that knowledge to the spiritual master. He can give it to him, and then the spiritual master can give it to the student. That can happen. I've had that experience many times. And then there are those who get it directly. So what I'm trying to bring out is that don't try to form a uniform idea of what a spiritual master has to be. He has to be what Krishna gives him, and that's it. And if he shows certain powers, certain mysticism, certain glory, well, then we can just say Krishna is definitely working through this person, because there is no spiritual powers, no mysticism, no any of that without Krishna. That's all.
Thank you. Sachinoy?
Prabhu, this is I hope you don't mind, this is a comment.
Sure.
When you were mentioning about the power of Maya, then I thought about one incident in which Srila Prabhupada one time was praying to the deities, and one devotee came and asked Prabhupada, because it was all about falling down on the power of Maya. He said, "You're praying to Maya, assuming that you're a pure devotee. What are you praying?" And Prabhupada answered that, because I'm praying, because I'm always praying, I don't fall down. Or I'm praying so I don't fall down. And in regards to when you were mentioning that many devotees come, sometimes they leave.
It's not like you become a Superman, right?
Yeah.
It's not like Prabhupada. I'm a pure devotee.
Yeah.
No, Prabhupada, as he said, he's praying. That's why he doesn't fall down.
Yeah.
Go ahead, keep going.
And then there's the other aspect when devotees come and suddenly they leave. Many reasons why they leave, but I was thinking that they're not enough patient. They're not patient, just like a child who wants now. I want now, and the mother says, "No, wait." And then the example also is given about a woman when he gets married. He has to wait 9 months. 9 months until he gets a child, even if, I want it now. And another thing I was thinking that even Narada Muni, when he did all his austerities and penances and the Lord came to him, he reveals to him. And then suddenly he disappeared. And Narada Muni got so anxious, so desperate. He wanted to, force himself to do austerities and penances to see the Lord back. The Lord came and he says, "In this lifetime, you're not going to be able to see me." So that's another aspect that I was getting, because, you cannot get the Lord because you want it. It's like when he is pleased and he wants to reveal himself, he says, "In this lifetime, you're not going to be able to see me." And then in the purport later on is explained that because he has a tinge of material desire is still there. So what to speak of the devotees who recently in our times, they come and they leave, hoping that, it doesn't work. It's like they take it so cheaply. And the Bhagavad Gita says, "Satatan kirtayanto amam yatantas chadrida abritaha," that constantly chanting the holy name of the Lord with determination. So there's, some thoughts that I have.
Yeah, thank you. That's good. So we're out of time, so we'll stop there, and if we can, this conversation or discussion can continue outside if we like. Thank you. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.